If trees could talk, what horrors would they confess? Would they speak of quiet nights shattered by screams, of ropes pulled taut, of bodies left swaying, of justice twisted into something unrecognizable? For over a century, this tree has held its silence. It has watched. It has remembered. And though time has tried to bury its past, the roots run too deep. Some stains never fade. Some wounds never heal. This tree was made into a grave marker without a name, a silent accomplice to a crime that was never punished. And yet, it remains, still standing, still bearing witness to a history that refuses to die. Tonight, we listen. Tonight, we remember, because the past does not rest, and neither do its ghosts. The water doesn't know race. It doesn't know fear. It only knows the laughter of children, the splash of play, the innocence of youth. Like any kids, they found joy in the simple things, in the freedom of an afternoon swim, in the company of friends. But in 1924, in a town called Fort Myers, Florida, there were rules. Rules written in fear. Rules enforced by hate. Someone was watching. Someone who didn't see children playing, but something else. Something dangerous. Something unacceptable.
For some of the people who I think rode by that day and saw the two boys and the two black boys and the two white girls swimming in the pond, canal, whatever they called it then, that they, whoever saw them first just didn't like what they saw, and so they just came running with a lot of things and saying that they saw two black boys raping two white girls. Never happened, even though they even asked the girls, and the girls said, no, it didn't happen. Jay was the first one to have been lynched here, and then Milton, they found Milton on a train. It is a terrible thing. I also learned that they drugged them in the street, that the meat was coming off of the body. The sad situation, but I think our children, our generation should know something, and the generations to come should know something about their history, whether it was good or bad.
A lie doesn't need proof, only a willing audience. And Sheriff J.E. Albritton was more than willing to listen. R.J. and Milton were locked away, waiting for justice that would never come. But outside these walls, justice had already been decided. The men pour inside, their faces twisted with something more than anger, something darker. The sheriff doesn't fight them. He doesn't stand in their way. He simply steps aside. Sheriff J.E. Albritton swore an oath to uphold the law, but on this night, the law was just another thing to be broken. A hand reaches in, grabbing Milton by the arm. He yelps, kicking, struggling, but it's no use. Another hand yanks R.J. out of the darkness. The boys are dragged, feet scraping, breath hitching, into the cold, merciless night. And so the mob took what it came for. No trial, no defense, no chance. R.J. was pulled through the dirt, his body scraping against the earth as the mob dragged him down Cranford Avenue. His cries were swallowed by the roar of voices, by the crackle of fire, by the boots that trampled the ground in unison. No one came to stop them. No one dared. Cranford turned into Edison, and there it stood, the tree, waiting, its branches stretched wide, unshaken, unbothered by the horrors it had already seen. R.J. was lifted, not by mercy, not by hands of kindness, but by the pull of hatred, His body swayed, the wind whispering secrets only the trees could hear. But that wasn't enough. They wanted more. A knife was drawn. The laughter of the mob mixed with RJ's muffled screams. They stole from him more than his life. They stole the man he would never become. Then came the gunfire. Bullets ripped through flesh. They were making sure his existence was erased. A warning, a lesson, a spectacle. And then, silence. But the night wasn't over. Milton had run. He had slipped through their grasp, through the cracks of their madness, and for a moment, he had hope. But hope dies quickly when men like these are hunting you. The train yard stretched before him. A chance, a way out. He climbed into the dark, into the belly of a train car that could take him anywhere but here. He held his breath, waiting, listening, but he wasn't fast enough. Heavy boots echoed against steel. The doors wrenched open. Hands reached in, and just like RJ, Milton was dragged into the night. The route was the same. The verdict was the same. The tree still waiting. The noose tightened. The bullets fired. And the world moved on. A letter was sent, not to condemn, not to seek truth, but to commend the sheriff and his men for their efforts, their earnest efforts, as if they had done something honorable, as if they had done something right. R.J. Johnson was 14 years old. Milton Williams was 15. 2 boys. Erased. But history does not forget. The roots run too deep. And if trees could talk, would we finally listen?